Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
You are one breakthrough away from your next six-figure year. Maybe it's a better offer, a sharper sales process, or finally cracking client acquisition. Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets, where every single week we hand you the strategies, frameworks, and real-world plays that are working right now for coaches just like you. I'm your host, the Road Dog, with the legend himself, Karl Bryan. Let's get into it. Shoots, welcome to the show.
Shoots. That's it. Listening, bud. I'm sitting here listening intently. Well done, bud. I like it.
There we go. There we go, Shoots. You know that the best part is when I just roll out these new opens and you have no idea they're coming.
That may or may not have happened. And it's very early. I've woken you up, buddy. It is, you got toothpicks in your eyes right now, bud.
Yeah. The things I do for you, and you can't even literally buy me a coffee to even make this happen because we're like that far apart.
If I was there, I'd be buying that coffee. Don't you worry. Have you had your first coffee?
It's literally in hand. I've had one sip. So there you go. We're ready to rock. We're ready to rock. As you, and the reason.
Oh, you know what? Oh, so what are you saying?
I was saying that the only reason we're doing this so early is because you're off to see your pops. You're off to see the old man.
I am going to see my dad in Mexico. Get old skinny. I was going to say, I've never drank a cup of coffee in my life. You know that?
I did not know that. Oh yeah, you're like you and frickin' Huntsy with the London fogs.
Yeah, chai tea is my new thing. Spicy.
Is that right?
Oh, I love it. I love
no
it.
Caffeine. No, I shouldn't say caffeine. You drink caffeine, but you definitely know coffee. That's very interesting. You don't know what you're missing, Shoots. You don't know what you're missing. Hey, obviously, well, now that we're kind of getting deeper into the new year, what happened to 2026 already? Where'd that go? Like, what's happening right now? I was looking through some old books and stuff, and I came across some stuff from Deepak Chopra. Anyways, I believe he has something in Vancouver too, or used to. Anyways, I wanted to get your thoughts on him and just kind of, just what are your thoughts on Deepak Chopra?
Yeah, well, I think I know why you're asking. Shoots. You're doing it in a delicate way.
No comment.
We've mentioned him on the podcast. I don't know. Shoots, I can't control it, so I'm not going to worry about it to the best of my ability. I would just say the question I have is, are we getting taught morals by people that don't have any? Like there's a lot of people right now that have a lot of answer to, the schools, the politicians, the celebrities, the authorities. Like they hate Elon and they hated Charlie Kirk because they can't control them. So what do? They slander them. They cancel them. If you were to ask me what I see, if they can't control you, they use you. And if they can control you, they use you. And if they can't control you, they try to, I don't know, destroy you. A little bit harsh, but that's what I see. Sad if I'm honest. Hard to know what to think. So I got to focus on what I can control. That's helping business coaches and that's helping businesses. And please don't ask me about Bad Buddy, Shoots, because my answer is I do not care. Anyway, Shoots, it's sad. That's all I'm going to say, Shoots. It's
the only thing I'm going to say about Bad Bunny is all the memes that came out the following day were fire. Like, it was great. There's so many great memes that came out. Personally, whatever. I always hate halftime shows, period. I don't, except for the Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg one. That one was really good. But for me, just play the frickin' game. I don't need to be entertained. I can, let's be honest, I'm more of the commercial guy. I like to see what they come out with. Yeah. And Dunkin' Donuts for the win. Like, those guys have got some stuff going on.
Is that the one with, that's the one with Tom Brady, right? Jennifer Aniston?
Yeah, Ben Affleck he does such a good job with that stuff. Pretty wild. Hey, listen, speaking of things that we can focus on, okay. Let's talk about events, because you just mentioned events, but you had a lead generation event, and what's the number one thing that you've heard as feedback from that event that you had?
Number one bit of feedback.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll tell you something that landed. So at the very beginning, I opened up with like 40 minutes, right? My goal at the end of 40 minutes was everybody there agreed that they could go get 10 clients in 90 days using exactly what I showed them. And part of it, like, it needs to be psychology. So I get them to say, getting clients is easy, getting clients is fun. And I'm like, do that 100 times a day, right? You repeat it, it cements itself. And then, you know what I mean? Like, just say it over and, say it 100 times every day for 90 days and then find out what happens. Like, filling events is easy, filling events is fun, right? Again, just say it over and over. And by the way, you can do it silent to yourself. If you feel like a bit of a dill, more powerful is going to be, or more, the louder if you do it out loud and if you do it with some oomph and some passion and some purpose behind your voice, it's going to be more powerful. Because you can't change who you are until you change who you think you are, right? Like, again, that the Jedi mind tricks, like, your mind reacts to repetition. So every time you repeat something, it strengthens the neural pathway, right? Both good and bad. So what you rehearse, your brain strengthens. Like, think of when you go to the gym, right? Like reps when you're lifting weights. Like, we've said this many times over the last number of weeks and a number of years, frankly. But what you say after I am is mission critical. So actually, and I spoke to one of my clients, like, again, I did a presentation, 40 minutes, and it's like, look, could you follow this? I spoke to one of our clients, Mohammed Musa in Brisbane, shout out to him, great guy. And he made 30 cold calls and got 2 clients, right? And then I simply followed that up with, I asked him, Mohammed, how would you like to be semi-retired for the rest of your life? Right? Not surprisingly. What do you think he said? He said, yes, yes, please. And I just said, make 30 calls a day, every day, without fail. And starting with, like, when you go to the gym, you got to go to the gym. I spoke to a friend today at the gym, and she's, new to going to the gym. Let's put it that way. And she said, I really didn't feel like going today. And I said, what you got to do, it's the days that you don't want to go to the gym are the days that you definitely have to go to the gym. That's where the real muscle, that's where the real mental strength comes, right? So the days that you don't feel like making those calls, those are the days that you got to make 60 instead of 30, right? Again, strengthen that neural pathway. And so you build inner confidence by keeping your word to yourself, right? So if you don't follow through with the work, what happens, or your targets and your goals, you kill your confidence, right? So create a lead gen target. Remember, a goal is something you can see. A target is something you can hit. And let's just say 25, 30 outreaches a day, 25 outreaches a day. It might be 10 outreaches a day for you. It depends a little. Show me the starting line and I can tell you what you're going to be able to be consistent with, right? But once you set the target, you got to keep it. And your confidence is all of a sudden going to come organically. Why? Road Dog, you end every podcast with progress equals happiness, right? Why? Because the results start to compound, right? As you get better and you get stronger. What's the problem with compounding? It takes so much time. But like I said, invisible, when you go to the gym every day for 90 days, like, you don't feel it. But all of a sudden in 6 months and 9 months and 12 months, you're really starting to look the part, right? Like, it's compounding. Like, what's Bruce Lee's got a very famous quote. I don't fear the man that's practiced 10,000 kicks. I fear the man who's practiced one kick 10,000 times. Again, I'm probably making a bit of a meal of that, but no doubt you get the idea. One kick 10,000 times is what fears him, right? So you make that call 10,000 times. And guess what? You get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And all of a sudden, you're bulletproof. And again, you're semi-retired for the rest of your life. Why? Because you got a framework. And by the way, you can control it. And you can't control the outcome. You can just control your effort, right? Actually, so one of the things we did, Like, we gave, there's lead generation tactics, and we had 8 presenters, and they all gave their, the strategy that they use. And the question was, if you had to get 100 leads in 90 days from a standing start, what would you do and why? Right? Like, again, not theory, not motivational speakers. We didn't get Tony Robbins there to get everybody jumping up and down. It's like coaches that are in the trenches actually doing it. Right. So one of the things that I offered was like a VIP option where they could grab, a 1-hour call with me. Right. Lots of those calls booked, lots of those calls done. And how do they start? I say, remember, identity is everything, right? It's absolutely critical. I said, are you a 7-figure coach, or are you a coach who struggles to get leads? Right. Again, don't tell me what I want to hear. Which one resonates at a higher level? And if they resonated with, I struggle to get leads, we've got to solve that problem first, or no lead generation strategy was going to work long term. Right. Why? Because I don't need to see they'll self-sabotage and end up back where they were at. Right. So it's your identity, absolutely critical. And like, more important than positive thoughts is the story you tell yourself about what is true, what is real, what do I deserve? What do you deserve? Who are you as a person? Right. Absolutely. So it's like, lead generation is not that hard. The reality is it's more scientific than anything else that you will do in coaching. Remember, there's 3 problems I solved: lead gen, conversion, and fulfillment. Lead gen is the most scientific by 100 miles. It's a game of consistency, and it's a game of discipline. You just got to do it. It is not easy, but it is simple. You just need to follow. You got to create a target, and then you need to follow it. Right. And again, let it compound. And then you go to why. Why are you going to make the calls? Why are you going to generate the leads? Why are you going to go to the networking function? Why are you going to convince them to take on your coaching and your accountability and your help with their execution, et cetera? And, and hopefully installing an operating system that works. It's like 90% of the businesses that you're going to call on that are at the networking function that will come to your live event are going to fail. And my question is, like, do you care? And I don't say that to call you out. I say that to call upon you, right? To go and help these folks and call them to help them. Like, your frame is that you want to call them to help them. A terrible reason to reach out to me is because you need a client. A great reason to reach out to me is because you have something for me. You saw an article, you saw something that might help. You know that I'm in the business coaching space, and XYZ works really, really well, right? Like, don't reach out to people because you need a client. Reach out to people because you want to help them. Have a look at their ad and go, that ad is a dog's breakfast. It's got the name of the company at the top. It's got service, quality, dependability in the middle, and their phone number and web address at the bottom, right? I just described most ads that you're going to see, right? Guess what? Just a blown up business card. It's not going to work. Who's going to call them to tell them that the 10 grand that they're spending on their ad is a waste of time, and they should take that 10 grand and take their kids to Disneyland, right? That's why they're buying the ad, so they can get their kids to Disneyland. Well, why don't you turn off the ad that is not working and just take your kids? Like, just do it, right? So hopefully you're getting call for that reason, right? Don't call because you need a client. Call because you're going to help them. My question is, what are you going to help them do? They got a business for sale. What are the chances of that business selling? It's an 80% chance that it is going absolutely nowhere, and it's very frustrating. Well, why doesn't a business sell? Because it's not systematized, it's not profitable, and it's too owner reliant. Just 101. Solve those 3 problems for them. Install an operating system, right? So I can just tell you, I did this when I was young, and it worked, and it will work for you. Anyway, so getting clients is easy. Getting clients is fun. Say that 100 times to yourself. And I think you'll be bulletproof. That's my answer, Shoots.
Well, so when you were young, boy, do you want to touch that one with a 10-foot pole, or just what life was like in the 40s? Anyways, obviously you did a lot of marketing and sales and lead gen and all that stuff, Shoots, when you were young. But if you were to go back now, and let's just pick 25. So this 65-year-old Karl Bryan is now going back to talk to his 25-year-old self. What would you say? What advice would you give that young slightly less attractive 25-year-old?
What would I say? Shoots. I'll tell you this. If I gave him advice 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 9 months ago, 12 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I think again, that advice would adjust because, I'm on my own journey here of growing and, that kind of thing. But look, I'll tell you, I've got a note from my 90-year-old self. And what does it say? It says, it's going to be okay. Everything works out. Remember, like I lost my big brother when I was 16 years old, and then my dear mother drank herself to death. Right. So all based on what? That's, business failure. So I would give him a little bit of advice around chasing ghosts, and he should probably avoid that as he moves along. Right. Because it's a unwinnable game. That said, and again, what would they say? They would just say, I'm proud of, what would my 90-year-old self maybe say? I'm proud of you. And why? For being you, right? And what would I strive for? Like strive for peace over happiness, because happiness is just a little bit of a slippery slope. Ultimately peace between those two ears, and just stop working. So how do you get, a little bit of peace? It's like, stop working so hard and take a break, right? Sometimes again, pausing, it's like a step backwards to take 3 forwards. That is a thing. Like learn to say no. Yes is a responsibility. No is a decision. What does Warren Buffett say? He says growth is yes and success is no. You got to learn to say no. Maybe stated otherwise, work to be respected, not liked, right? Like yes men are liked and go nowhere. They go in circles. Not that I would identify myself as a yes man. No doubt I'll be guilty of it at different times, but that's not like a problem for me. But at the same time, I think understanding that higher level frame would give them a little bit of guidance that, look, we're looking to be respected around here, and you're going to upset some people, and that's going to be okay. Again, it all works out. Everything is going to be okay. And how you do all that, I think, shoots, you get focused. Like I bought the domain name focus.com a long, long time ago, like 20 years ago. 20 years ago. And I just woke up and I said, I got to dial in on what I want. And I was buying up domain names. I own hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. So I bought it. That's the reason. Like I got to decide, I too am a student of all this stuff. And it's like, I got to decide clearly what I want, clearly define it, and just bloody go do it. Right. One step in front of the other, step by step, ferociously. I'll none other than Mr. Jeff Bezos, right? Because again, you don't want an easy life. I've said this lots of times on the podcast, but you don't want an easy life, right? To aim for that is a missed target. I think what you want to do is you want to frame it up that you want to be bothered by nothing. And I'd also say that sounds good, but incredibly sad, but very challenging, right? To be bothered by nothing. I'd also give him my operating system, by the way, and I would tell him to start a business and follow it to an absolute bloody T, just like, McDonald's and the other monster businesses did. And again, higher level frame. We've said this countless times, but you want to build a business you could sell tomorrow, but don't want to, right? That's so much sexier, than exiting for, multiple 7 figures, etc. Yeah. And by the way, okay, so actually I just want to, so you ask yourself, what advice would you give yourself, last year, 3 years ago, when you were 25? When you ask yourself that question, then you come up with the right answer, right? And quite possibly the initial answer might not be the real answer. Maybe go a little bit deeper. Maybe it's going to be spot on. But I can tell you this, it is almost 100% guaranteed. It's almost 100% guaranteed to be exactly what you need to hear right now. Like success is a self-made inside job. So that's what I would, and maybe around business shoots, I would also give them a bit of business advice, because at the end of the day, this guy identifies as an entrepreneur, and I still do, today. Like my identity is wrapped up in being an entrepreneur, and quite frankly, a successful one. The richest people in the world build networks. Okay, the richest people build networks. CNN, Fox, Facebook, Instagram, they're all giant networks. Like McDonald's is really in the real estate business, not in the business of selling hamburgers and fries and Coca-Cola, right? I don't know what they own, but it's like $40 billion of real estate, right? They own like that's a network on steroids. Coke is a distribution company, right? Like they operate in, I don't know, but like 150, 180 countries around the world. They have a better global footprint than most governments, and it's not a beverage company. It's a distribution network as their moat. That's their real moat. That's why Warren Buffett owns so much of it, right? Like they add water, they add energy drinks, they add a new apple juice, and it's easy to get shelf space because they've already got, they're already in the gas station and 7-Eleven, et cetera, and they got all their fridges there, right? So they've got distribution. Or like if you look at Amazon, they don't make money on the boxes, deliveries, and Prime deals, despite the fact that they make gobs of money on that. But AWS, think server, storage, and enterprise infrastructure, they make, I don't know what the number is again, but it's like 50% of Amazon's profit comes from AWS. And by the way, the Amazon advertising business, again, think network. Again, I don't know what it does, but it's like $40 billion a year. Like it's insane. And at the end of the day, that's a network. Visa, MasterCard, like Rockefeller, right? Like he owned all the railroad tracks. He didn't want to own the trains. He wanted to own the railroad tracks. And in fact, hang on, I think that's actually Vanderbilt, not Rockefeller. But at the end of the day, they own Visa, MasterCard own the payment rails, right? They're like a toll booth. They move money from bank accounts to businesses in milliseconds. Think of the power of that. How convenient. I open up your wallet right now, and I would bet $100 in 2 seconds that you got a MasterCard and a Visa in there. By the way, I don't bet anymore, so don't ask me. I'm not going to bet you, but I'd be amazed if I'm wrong, and I would do very well with that bet, right? Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett, he just retired. One of the greatest, he will go down as one of the greatest business minds of all time. Again, people think of him, I think, as a bit of kind of grandpa, Mr. Happy-go-lucky, or however you frame him up, and, stock guy. The truth is that he is a business mind on steroids. It's a lot less like a corporation and more like a mini economy, right? So they own insurance companies, railroads, they move goods across America. They got energy utilities that power your city, and then well-known consumer brands like Coke, right? It's a massive network. So you don't want to own the trains, you want to own the railroad tracks. So maybe stated differently, like these guys, what they do is they sell control, they sell leverage, and they sell access. At the end of the day, the richest people in the world own networks. Get to work, not building a business, but building a network and helping your clients do same. And by the way, those are a bunch of big examples. How can they do that locally? And the answer is they can. It's just going to be on a significantly more, significantly smaller scale, but at the same time, that's why you want to be doing local live events, by the way. You do local live events every week for 52 weeks and just watch what happens. Watch the people, the joint ventures and the accountants and the chamber and the speaking events that start coming your way, and you'll be blown away. So anyway, Shoots, there's a lot of advice I'd give my 25-year-old self, but that's maybe a little bit. And peace over happiness, I think, is a really important one. Just be calm in between those two ears, and it really doesn't matter what happens. How'd I do, Shoots?
Yeah, so you mentioned success. So I want to just dive into that just for a second, but I do want to kind of put some guardrails up for you on. So if we were talking about the secret to success, okay, like if you could give that to a coach and say, here's the secret to success, but only like try and limit it to like one. Like, what's the one secret to success?
Isn't that a movie? Is that a
fantastic movie? Like that is a great throwback right there. That's going back on the watch list.
Yeah. Who is it? It's Michael J. Fox. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you
go.
It
sure is.
Okay. Secret to success. And you want me to keep it tight, right? I don't know. So when I do a live, we do an event in Cancun, and I'm on stage, I open it up. I've always got one side, there's signs around the room, and I've always got one right beside me on stage. And it says, crazy ones make all the money. I believe, and by the way, just have a look around your life and have a look at the folks that have made gobs and gobs of money. And I would be amazed if you wouldn't identify them as a little bit crazy. Like, you're not going to be understood, right? But that's if you're going to be wildly successful. So don't aim, it's kind of respected over liked, like I said a second ago. So, look, it's got to be clearly defined what you want, right? True intelligence is getting what you want. And of course, wanting the right things. That's Naval Robbie Count 101, by the way. But like true intelligence is getting what you want, right? Like when you plug a destination into your GPS, what do you have? You got a starting line and you got a finishing line. Okay. Don't need to be with you, that there's going to be an accident. There's going to be a detour, going to be bad weather, this time of year. But you hit your destination, right? You get off track. What does it do? It reroutes you, but it doesn't change the target. And it is the same with your goals. 5% of the people on this 5% of the population, let's say, become successful, and the other 95 fight for the scraps. And by the way, you're thinking 80-20 as I say that. That is just 80-20 on steroids. Because remember, you go 80-20, 80-20, 80-20, 80-20. You put a magnifying glass over it, and you'll find that's what it looks like. It is universal principle. It is math. You're not getting away from it. The world is just a big math equation. And I'd also say that 5% coincidentally go deep and do real personal development, like not reading the book and the Stoic quote and meditating every once in a while. Like I'm talking real personal development, getting ugly. Like if you're not crying, it's not working, or you haven't gone deep enough. And that's for the most masculine alpha individual we could speak to, that they'll be first, first to break down, by the way. But anyways, right. So that you just got to define. And by the way, though, you can't change. So in order to get what you want, you got to clearly define it. You got to set your GPS to go towards it, fight off the detours, etc. You can't change who you are until you change who you think you are, right? Like, what's the truth? Big thoughts, big desires are hard. That's reality, right? Try go make 10 grand a month. Look, that's a mug's game, right? You want to change the complexion of business in your entire city, in your entire state, in the country, in the world, globally. Now that takes some kahunas, right? Like it's think and grow rich. It's not, do and be rich, or it's not do and grow rich, I guess, like think and capitalize it, bold it, italicize it, underline it, etc. And maybe some advice, which we've given a lot, but use, so you go, okay, well, look, I want to start thinking at a higher level. Karl, direct me, right? Use mental models to guide you. Okay. And again, the OG, Charlie Munger, right? May he rest in peace. Poor guy passed away not long ago at the ripe old age of 99, but just like a legend. Use mental models to, as your GPS. Why? So you don't fall into things like recency bias or, conformity with your thinking. Conformity is the opposite of what you want, right? Remember, the crazy ones make all the money. 80% are failing wildly. You got to go against the grain, or you go with the grain, and what are you going to do? You're going to end up with their results. My question is, do you want their results? I dare say not, or you wouldn't be listening, right? So the bottom line, you want the 5% results. They are doing the opposite of what the masses are doing with ridiculous predictability. So yeah, I want to make sure I'm answering. So secret to success, define what you want, and then blow up the boats to get there. So I guess I got to go, like, what is the goal? What is the target? Is it 20 grand a month? Is it 50 grand a month? Is it one event a week with 10 people every week for 52 weeks? Is it to place $100,000 of newfound revenue into your client's business so that they'll never leave? Is it to create a lead generation strategy that works with 100% predictability, when consistently done over time? Like, decide clearly and do, right? But you got to set a target that you can hit. So let's go creating a lead generation strategy that works with 100% certainty. When I say 100% certainty, that doesn't mean you're going to call 10 people and get 10 people. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a frame where you're going to do 30 calls a day and you're going to end up getting 2 clients. But the magic of that is you just need to do another 30 calls and you can predictably get another 2 clients. You make 60 calls and you're going to get 4 clients. And then just do the math. The world is just a big fat mathematical equation. Look at it that way. 80-20 is a mathematical certainty for you, me, Road Dog, everybody. So decide and just bloody do it. And then set a target. Remember, a goal is something you can see, a target, something you can hit. Create targets. 25 reach outs a day. You cannot control, whether or not they say yes. You cannot control lots of stuff, but what you can control is your 25 reach outs a day. So when you set your targets, I want to make sure that you do it in such a way, like the 50 grand a month, the 20 grand a month. Again, there's a lack of control there. It's okay to set that target, but you're going to have to create some tighter targets in order to get there. Like it's going to be around lead gen. Remember, there's lead gen, conversion, then fulfillment. Then you got to keep them, by the way. Like there's, I don't even know where this comes from, but like seek and you shall find, knock on the door and it shall open. Pretty famous saying that no doubt you've heard, but I believe that is it. But you gotta, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. You got to avoid that. And if you want to have insane speed, you got to have immense clarity. Right. And okay, so Shoots, I want to throw this back to you, but like, what is going to stop all of this from happening? So somebody's listening and you're going, yep, I'm all in. That's what I'm doing. I want to be semi-retired. I'm going to make those 30 calls a day. What's going to stop you? It's one word. It's fear. Right. Guess what? You're never going to avoid it. Right. So what do you got to do? You got to use it. Right. Like I told a story in my, my email this week. And it was like, my daughter and I were going on this crazy roller coaster at Universal Studios. It was the first time, right? She was young and she was all, she was so pumped at the end of the line. And as it got a little bit closer, not surprisingly, she started getting a little bit scared, right? And I just said to her, I said, well, fear is what? How do you feel? But it's just, for, the adults in the room, like it's sweaty palms, it's elevated heart rate, and anxious body, right? Well, so what's excitement? Sweaty palms, elevated heart rate, anxious body. It's the exact same thing, but it's just a different way of looking at it. So instead of allowing fear to control you, you use the fear. You control the fear, right? So that's what I did with my daughter. I told her, look, this is exciting. It's a different way of looking at it. And guess what? She got on there. In fairness, she was a little bit fearful, and who wouldn't be? I mean, this thing was crazy. We did it. And what did she want to do? She wanted to go again and again and again and again and again. So anyway, step by step ferociously is what my daughter did on the roller coaster. That's what you should do with your lead gen. It's going to take some guts. You're going to get told to buzz off. You might hear some swear words. Those are the people that need you more than anybody. Right. So define that end target so you can jump over, the detours, the construction zones along the way, and not end up in the wrong destination, which is where the others land. Anyway, Shoots, that everybody's heard that one before from us, but that's what I'd say. You just got to define it and do it, bud. Go.
Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be opened to you. From this little book called the Bible, Matthew 7:7. So there you go.
Oh, shoots.
There you go. Yeah, you may have heard of that one.
Nice. Love it. Well done, Shoots.
All right. So I want to this perception that it's a straight line to success. Can we talk about that for a minute? Like, you mentioned detours, construction zones on your way to success. Like that is one of those. You sometimes feel you're getting ahead, and all of a sudden it's like you hit 10 clients, and next thing you know, you're back down to 2, and it's like, oh my God, it's not supposed to work like this. Yeah. Can you sort of discuss that for a second and give us your thoughts around that?
Yeah. Well said is what I would say. Look, you're never getting away from 3 things, right? I don't care if you got $100 million, $10 million, $5 million. You're living on an island. You're in downtown Manhattan. You got a job. You're in debt. You're happily married. You're going through a divorce. You're short, tall, good looking. You got a pimple on your nose, right? There's 3 things you're never getting away from. 1 is pain. 2 is uncertainty. and 3 is constant work. Pain, uncertainty, constant work. They are constants. And by the way, that's Phil Stutz, very famous movie, Stutz, with Jonah Hill. And Phil Stutz, he teaches happiness at Harvard, right? So anyway, so that's what he says. So just, again, so we're thinking, I just need to get to $1 million. I just need to get to $5 million. I just need to exit for X and everything's going to be okay. I'm sorry, but you never arrive, right? Remember, the average want to make it, and the rich people are, they're scared of losing it, right? Like there's a story, The Alchemist. It's awesome. And it's about a kid who leaves home and his favorite tree to discover riches, right? All to come back to the exact same place, realizing it was the journey that mattered, right? Like he ended up in the same place, but he was a completely different person, right? The place was the same, but he wasn't. So you asked me to translate that. It's like, enjoy the journey. That's where all the magic is. And I know it sounds trite, but you just got to enjoy the calls. You got to enjoy the getting the client. You got to enjoy losing the clients, like Road Dog just said. You got to enjoy hosting the event and only 2 people show up, right? Guess what? Your context is everything. So you'll appreciate the event when 20 people show up, and you're going to be able to do 10 times better job. What do most people do? Only 2 people show up and then the show doesn't go, right? I didn't do that. You shouldn't do that. The show's got to go on, right? But when you don't fill the events, when you don't do the events, when you don't host the events, and you don't show up for the 2, the 20, the 10, and the 5, you end up in the same place, and you're the same, right? So it's the same, right? But what do you got to do? You got to do the events. You got to get the clients. You got to lose the clients. And yourself, I can tell you, your level of self-confidence will be measured when you lose a client. That really, really hits too hard. We got to do some personal development work on, what you deserve, what's true, etc. But so the bottom line is you end up in the same place, but you're totally different, right? You had 2 clients, went to 10, end up at 2. You're not the same person. You got new advanced skills. Like the truth is I could lose it all tomorrow and without question, build it all up again. There's incredible strength in that thought. And what I would call, maybe genuine conviction, right? Just makes you strong. You can do the same, right? Ruthless passion, consistency, discipline. And the way I want you to think about it is training and operating like a pro athlete day to day, right? Like a man with a $10 million business is a normal man with laser-like focused. What do you got to do? You got to get focused. Exactly what I said earlier. Secret to success is what? Decide what you want and get focused despite the fact that the detours and the bad weather are going to, send you awry. Get back on track, keep going, be ruthless with your destination, but flexible in the route to get there maybe. And by the way, and somebody with $100 million business is again, just a normal man, even more focused than the guy with the $10 million business. By the way, you should also get my operating system and install it, but anywho, so just a high level frame here. I want to repeat something, but don't work for an easy life. Work to be bothered by nothing, right? The detours and the construction sites, you got a destination to arrive to, just be totally dialed in on that. And the other frame, said it earlier, but I just can't, I always get feedback on this. It's rather than build a business you can exit for, like a sexy number of, 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, 8 figures, etc., 9 figures, 10 figures, build a business you could sell tomorrow, but don't want to. I think that is a worthy pursuit. And like our top guys, they build teams of coaches underneath them, and they've got 10 coaches and 25 coaches and 50 coaches and plus, having a lot of success, and they just love it, right? Like, why sell something? If you had 50 coaches underneath you, I dare say, why would you sell that if you're having fun and making such a positive impact, right? Not for everyone by any stretch, but the right ones build a business they don't want to exit from, right? And remember, you're never getting away from 3 things: pain, uncertainty, constant work. You exit for 10 million, 100 million. And by the way, just ask them, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Like, go find somebody that exited for $50 million and speak to them and ask me if they got away from pain, uncertainty, and constant work. And the answer is going to very comfortably be a hard no. So it's not worth the trying. to create a life without pain, without uncertainty, without constant work. It's the wrong frame. And reality is, I don't know that it's impossible, because nothing is impossible, right? But those three things are a constant. You, me, and everybody. Anyway, Shoots, that's what I got, bud. That's what I would say.
All right. Well, as we turn on the fasten your seatbelt sign and slowly start a descent to closing out the podcast, give me 3 books to read to advance my business knowledge, I guess. How about just my ability to build a successful coaching business? That's probably a bit more specific. What do you think?
There's lots of them, bud. One of the things I would do is I would start with little red arrow, you are here, like the starting line, and that would adjust. Like, where do you need help? Do you need help in sales? Do you need help in conversion? Do you need help in fulfillment? Do you need motivation? What's your mindset like, and what's your identity, etc.? Like, what questions do you relate to? Like, again, are you a 7-figure coach, or are you a coach that struggles to get leads? If you're a coach that struggles to get leads, we got to solve that problem before we do anything, or no lead gen strategy is going to help long term. You got to do the work. Anyway, so, okay, Atomic Habits, great book. Discipline compounds quietly. 1% a day for 365 days is a 37x return. The worst salesperson in the world, 37x their current talents, they become dangerous. The Psychology of Money, I would recommend that for sure. Mentioned that many a times. Morgan Housel. Like, the real problem to solve with your clients isn't building a big business. I think it's building long-term wealth, right? So wealth, what would he say? Wealth is about behaviors, not about your intelligence. Right. So again, Psychology of Money, I think for a business coach, I would highly recommend it, because that's the real problem to solve. Deep Work is another one. Like, it's right in the title, but you got to go deep. In fact, I think I have an email coming out shortly that I written up about this, but great book. Just get focused. If you are dialed in, like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Michael Schumacher, Wayne Gretzky, their superpower is that they're wildly focused and dialed in, right? They get more money than they could ever spend in 7 lifetimes, and they're still up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., hitting tennis balls and, refining their craft. Anyway, so Deep Work. Shit's what I actually, as I think about that, like, I've often mentioned, like, an autobiography is something that I would recommend over books generally. I just think I find them wildly inspiring. And I think that as a business coach, I'd be thinking about that. If you said, like, give me 3 autobiographies, I would say Shoe Dog by Nike. Great book. The autobiography of Elon Musk, read it multiple times, and it's just lights out. And also the Steve Jobs autobiography in my office in Kelowna. In Canada, I've got a picture of Steve Jobs on, I got all my family and all that sort of stuff on my wall, and Steve Jobs is right there. So anyways, and they're both by Walter Isaacson, and just absolutely, they're awesome. They're awesome. So autobiographies. Shoots, I might just real quick here. Personal development is also one that I think, remember, if you feel like a coach that struggles to get leads, we got to solve that problem before we can give you the lead gen strategy that's going to work long-term. Right. And by the way, one of the best forms of personal development is picking up that phone and, calling 25 times a day. You want to grow as a person, do that, and let me know in 90 days how you feel, and it will be amazing. Because of all the conversations and your growth, etc. But just some personal development shoots. I just want to, now I think this will be 9 that I'll end up giving you. But anyways, instead of 3, we're going to go 9. Man's search for meaning. Your purpose will outlast your pain all day long, right? My question is, what is your purpose? Fabulous book, recommended. A lot of the big dogs in our space recommend that book as mandatory reading. Meditations, like mental clarity and focus, will beat up external, I'm going to say chaos, right? Maybe distractions, the construction zones, the detours, the bad weather, mental clarity. So meditations, I think, is pretty cool. Kind of like a book, stoicism. Maybe another one. I'm not as this book, The Mountain is You. All right. So um, it's going to help you beat self-sabotage, right? Self-sabotage is a monster tax on your success and stopping you from hitting your goals, hitting your targets. You got to hit it head on. Don't assume that self-sabotage is something you're going to be able to dodge and avoid. I believe that you got to go straight to it, right? Like I am statements, answering those questions: what is real, what is true, what do I deserve, who am I as a person? Like going there to those stories and meaningfully addressing them and adjusting them. That's my answer sheets. One more, just off the top of my head. I don't even know where I put this one, but the Almanac of Naval Ravikant. Build your business and wealth without losing your peace. I feel like that's one that I would put in there, and I'd kind of put it in all three categories, quite frankly. Maybe not the autobiographies, but that's sort of, anyways, the Almanac of Naval Ravikant, beauty book, bud. That's all I got, man. What do you think? You like those?
Yeah, I like. It's funny when you said the mountain. What was that one? The mountain is me.
Yeah,
the mountain is you. Like it just
mountain is you.
Sort of,
mountain is you.
Like bit of the vulnerable moment here. For the longest part of my life, I always struggled with that procrastination and just getting in my own way. I just think you sort of hit a point where if you don't learn to master that, the pain eventually will get strong enough where you're like, I just got to get her done. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think it's an inevitability. It's just how bad you want the pain to be before you just actually take the action that you need to take. Right?
Buddy, I appreciate the vulnerability, because I got to tell you, you're just not alone there, buddy. It's a funny one, buddy. It's a funny one. So you got to hit it head on, right? So really, it's just what you're describing is self-sabotage in a nutshell, right? The Mountain is You, I think it's a good book. It's a good book. So.
All right. So to finish off with my plane analogy, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming up to our destination. We're taxiing into the terminal at the moment. And while we're taxiing, why don't you just close it out with a moment of Zen? Yes, folks, it is back. I apologize. It's been a few weeks. That is on me. But feel free to just redirect your hate mail to Karl directly, because I don't want to read it. All right, Shades, close it out with a moment of Zen.
Zen. No, Tony Robbins talks about this a lot, like your emotional home. Your life is as good or as bad as your emotional home. So the question is, what is your emotional home? Like if you put that into a flywheel, let's go. Emotions would go at 12 o'clock. Thoughts, I think is good. So thoughts, we're going to put at 2 o'clock. And then you've got your triggers. So we'll put that at 4 or 5 o'clock. Let's go 4 o'clock. Choices would be 6 o'clock. Behaviors, 8 o'clock, which lead to your experiences. Oh, I did it. Okay. Experiences at 10 o'clock, back to emotions at 12 o'clock. Okay. So you got your emotions. You want to have, a strong emotional home. So go thoughts, triggers, choices, behaviors, experience. And it's a flywheel. And then your emotions and again, remember, flywheels work good and bad. You got negative emotions. Your thoughts, triggers, choices, behaviors, and experiences are going to be not good. And they're going to go maybe road dog, a little bit like what you said a minute ago. But if they're super positive, that's why, it's the old, to those who have everything, more is given, and those that have nothing, everything is taken. Right. Like, so that's part of it. So like, okay, so someone gets the COVID shot as an example, right? You get angry, you get sad, you go on high alert, right? Emotions understandably heightened, or, whatever it is, or thoughts are, this person was wrong. What does it do? It triggers you and dominates your thinking. Choices decide something needs to be done and you need to say something. The behavior is what? You go to Instagram, you go to Facebook, you go to TikTok, and what do? You give your opinion. Experiences, 100 comments. You got positive comments, you got negative comments from your experience, right? What does that do? That heightens your emotion and further dominates you, or further strengthens you and empowers you if it's done in the right way, right? I think you might be able to recognize that from some events that I don't want to mention recently. It just kind of happened, right? You got to be very careful focusing too much time and energy on things that you have no control over, right? Like whatever the royal family's doing and whatever these people are doing and those people are doing, you know what? You got exactly zero control over it. And I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't say something and you shouldn't be a force for good. I'm not saying that. My question is it dominating you? And if that's dominating you and your business is not dominating you and you haven't hit your goals of 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, whatever that goal is, I'm going to say that this is a distraction. This is the detours and whatnot trying to hold you up. These are the things that self-sabotage will allow to run rampant with, to take your focus in the wrong direction instead of the right direction, right? Like the word meditation means to become familiar with, right? Become familiar with your emotions. So my question is, if you can get totally amped up, okay, and just go to your Facebook profile and you'll see this, right? About someone dying, which I disagree with vehemently, to be clear. But what if you took those same emotions and placed them into something that you control, right? Like the person lashing out is struggling. Help individuals not struggle financially and emotionally, and you're doing your part, right? A post of it, if you agree with this point of view, then unfriend me, ain't helping anyone. And quite frankly, to people with, objective viewpoints, they just view it as ridiculous and possibly that you might be a little bit emotionally not all there, right? Well, do you want successful people following you? Or do you want people that are kind of in the weeds? And I would dare say that you'd want more successful, objective. And I would dare say that the more successful people, and this has got nuances on freaking steroids, because I know a lot of people with a lot of money, and the things that they say is just like, I just shake my head, right? And I just know that their focus is going in the wrong direction. And I don't need to see their business to know that if they got a business and they're, currently in, in the throes of entrepreneurialism, it's not going that well because their focus is in the wrong bloody place, right? And nobody can see these irrational comments. You've got to be able to see both sides, and there's always two sides, good and bad. Anyway, so just kind of be a little bit objective. And not just business owners are failing, and it doesn't need to be this way. Those people die too, and in multiple ways, right? They die inside sometimes, and they die physically sometimes. They become a terrible spouse. They become a terrible friend. They become a terrible father, mother, or terrible, but, not despondent and not quite there, right? And it tends to be for an extended period of time. Like, going to do anything, take, those 30 calls and do it for their kids, those business owners with the terrible ads and the struggling businesses and the declining revenues and then absent profits. They got kids and families and goals and dreams. So, get mad at the fact that they haven't installed a profitable operating system and stop taking shortcuts. Like, what are the shortcuts? They buy advertising. Does it work? I think you could agree 80% of the time advertising doesn't work. And that's not to say that advertising doesn't work. It's that their ads don't work because they're literally a blown up business card with no interrupt, no engage, no educate, and no offer, no framework, no operating system to follow. They got the name of the company at the top, service, quality, dependability in the middle, and then the name of the company and the website at the bottom, right? Or what do? They buy the new website. Why do they buy a new website? They're trying to market, they're trying to brand, they're trying to get leads online. Does it work? I think we could agree 80% of the time, if not 95% of the time, it doesn't, right? And what are they doing? They're losing that money. That money comes from where? Their bank account, their kids, college funds. And these things would change for them quickly if you jumped on the phone. So go on high alert for that is what I'm trying to say. Like, thoughts are, I need to save these people before they crumble unnecessarily. Thoughts are, it could easily be different, and I'm going to create positive change by contacting these people. Triggers you, so it dominates your thinking, right? What's maybe a choice you could give for that? I need to get my message out in front of 3 people a day, 30 people a day, a minimum, come hell or high water, right? If you were going to try to get your message in front of 25 to 30 people, what's the behavior? Instead of posting about the royal family, the behavior is go to Facebook and start educating people and reaching out to people like bankers and accountants and business brokers and web designers in a passionate way every single day. Why? Because your message needs to be heard, right? What's the next one on the flywheel? So experience. What's your experience going to be if you do and you follow through on those 30 calls a day? Your experience, I think, by the way, try it. You let me know. But your experience is you're going to start having positive conversation. You're going to start building relationships, and clients are going to start, signing up, and you're going to start getting referred and talked about. Remember, it's not what you know. It's not what you know. It's who you know is flawed horribly. I believe it's who knows you. That's the real frame. And my question is, how many people locally know you and refer to you as the person that helps businesses grow, right? What did I just do, Shoots? I did experience. Okay, so then we go to emotions, right? And it's going to go back up in a positive way rather than, negative and kind of meaningless things going on, Facebook and Instagram and maybe LinkedIn and TikTok, etc. Your Facebook post is going to, it's going to, be like a force for good. It's going to be a place that entrepreneurs go to learn meaningful stuff. And again, don't post on Facebook because you need a client. Post on Facebook because you've got a message that you want, that they don't need to pay you 5 cents. They can just read their Facebook post and be moved in a positive way, build their business in a more positive way. Right. And remember your Facebook post, the one, let's go to the one about maybe it's the COVID shot back in the day, or it's whatever it is nowadays with all the craziness. I'm sorry, but and I've experimented with this, like your Facebook post is not going to change anybody's mind. And I'm sorry about that, but could try that. By the way, maybe you got superpowers, and you can, and if you can, God bless you and go for it. Right. But my experience is they're going to come to, our opinions are so deep seated and so, they're just so deep seated that your Facebook post, educational or not, is probably not going to sway them too much. I think what you do is just pick up the damn phone and start helping people in a meaningful way. You start helping local people make more money and build better businesses and provide better deliverables for, local families and, kids and parents and stuff, like is get out there and do your thing and have your clients do their thing. That is meaningful. People make more money, build better businesses, get better products, get better services, etc. Guess what? They'll be significantly better lives. And then these crazy things that are going on will be a little bit less impactful for them, for you, for me, for Road Dogg, for everybody. So a little hairy fairy Shoots. That's all I got, man. I'm stopping there, bud. But that's what I want to say about Zen.
All right, Karl, let's bring it home. Give our listeners one thing they can walk away and implement from today's episode right now.
I think it's something we've said 100 times. Well, the crazy ones make all the money is the higher level frame, but decide what you want, accepting of the fact that there are going to be detours and headaches and dramas and bad weather and all kinds of reroutes, but dogmatic with the destination and then flexible in the way you get there. I don't think there's anything that we could talk about. And maybe, advice, like you asked me, advice for my, younger self, whatever age. What's your advice to you? Right. And by the way, when you answer it meaningfully, you are going to find that is exactly what you need to hear today. So that's my answer, Shoots. So I got.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out with us on another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. Here's the deal. If you want more of this every single day, Karl sends out daily emails packed with coaching strategies, client wins, and the stuff that's actually moving the needle right now. So head to focus.com and get on the inside. It's where the real work happens, folks. And hey, if this episode helped you, do us a solid, share with another coach who needs to hear it. Leave us a review if you're feeling generous. And again, we're on a mission to impact as many coaches as possible. And your sharing this show makes that happen. That is it for this week, folks. We will see you in the next episode. And remember, progress equals happiness. Take care, everybody.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.